Hi again, it's AZXC2 here, and today I'll be speaking about the dispute between an Australian mining magnate and the nation's Netball Association. Okay. Gina Rinehart is easily Australia's richest woman, and she owns Hancock Prospecting, a mining company founded by her father, Lang Hancock. Hancock Prospecting was the sponsor for the Australian national netball team until recently, when they pulled out amid controversy. One of the players of indigenous origin refused to wear the company logo on her uniform because of some comments that Rinehart's father had made some 40 years ago. Lang Hancock was no stranger to controversy. He had famously called for genocide of the Aboriginal population of Australia by saying the water supply should be poisoned so that they could breed themselves out. That was made in 1984, and well, we could easily argue that Hancock was a man of his time, like Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore had said he wouldn't trust a Malay to take charge of a machine gun unit, and even that had caused consternation. What Hancock said compared to that of Lee Kuan Yew is far worse. Lee Kuan Yew never called for genocide of the Malay race. Not at all. And even so, his remarks about Malays in the machine gun unit were enough to cause a lot of tension for a while. Personally, I like to call Lee's bluff because I had served alongside Malay machine gun commanders, but that was in the early 2000s, some 20 years ago, whereas Lee made those remarks way back when I was still a baby, I guess. Well, calling for the genocide of a particular community should get you fined, but Hancock was never fined for making those comments. I know in my birthplace, if anyone made similar remarks, they will get fined big time. And a friend of mine added his 2 cents worth in a Facebook comments thread on the Channel 7 news, and he got roasted alive by the racists because he is of immigrant origin. Yes, my friend's from Kerala, and Kerala, it was part of British India, and we know the British did a lot of bad things in India, including the 1943 Bengal famine, in which 8 million people starved to death. The thing with Gina Rinehart has never, publicly renounced her father, which gives the impression that she still adheres to his opinions. On the other hand, Hancock Prospecting is the largest employer of Aboriginal Australians, but then again, how many of them are actually qualified to hold management positions? The same woman also wanted to open up the floodgates to immigrants from Asia so that she could pay them just $2 an hour. So yeah, I mean, she's no angel. So maybe Donald Wallen was right about not taking her money, and well, it's Gina's money to spend as she sees fit, and she's decided to pull out of the sponsorship of the netball team, leaving the Australian Netball Federation with a financial crisis. Already they are in debt, due in part to COVID-19. And having to look for a new sponsor with pockets as deep as Rinehart is definitely going to be a nightmare. I guess the old adage rings true: you play with fire, you get burnt. Wallen played with fire, now she's getting burnt. The only consolation is that she scored the winner against England in a test match. And well, England can't even get its own football team in order, so well, don't think about dominating netball. Southgate and his men, they need to prove their worth in Qatar before England can think about winning other medals. And meanwhile, Gina should prove her worth too by pouring money into getting justice for a 15-year-old Noongar boy bashed to death in the Swan Valley in a hate crime. His attacker believed that Cassius Turvey had vandalized his car earlier, and he beat Cassius to death with a metal pole and snatched the crutches off Cassius' 13-year-old friend. While I'm wary of advocating street justice, sometimes I feel that violent people like the guy who bashed Cassius, they need to get a dose of street justice. If they behave like cowboys, they should be receiving cowboy justice themselves. They live by the sword, they should die by it. Never mind what the Labour government says about possible miscarriage of justice following what happened with Brittany Higgins over East. I mean, well, hate crimes against indigenous people shouldn't be tolerated. They were here before everybody else, and we have to acknowledge that. I mean, Cassius Turvey was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just because he was black doesn't make him a car vandal. I mean, the alleged vandal could be a fellow European, for all we know. So yeah, maybe there's something for Miss Rinehart to think about. Justice for Cassius Turvey. I mean, she's no longer spending money on the netball team. She's got so much loose change. Well, the Turvey family need money to fight for justice. She should give it. That's probably only the right thing to do. Bye for now.